Up+Adam.
Tractor systems are offline.
We are Beyond FM.
Beyond FM.
The future of broadcasting is here.
Up+Adam with Adam Montiel. It's community content from Concentrate. It's Up+Adam with Adam Montiel.
Some say life is where it begins. Straight to the stars is where it ends. Yes, some say life is just where it begins. Straight to the stars is where it ends. Only to start again.
Thanks for being Up+Adam. Happy Monday. Hope you had a great weekend. Appreciate you being here. My name is Adam Montiel. All right, today, a powerhouse on the page and on the screen. Actress, author, mother, memoirist, Marianne Leone is here. From the streets of 1960s Boston to the sound stages of The Sopranos, I mean, this woman has lived, loved, and lost in ways that will move you to laughter and then tears and then back to laughter again. Her new novel, Christina the Astonishing, is a real coming-of-age tale that is as rebellious as it is redemptive, with nuns, guilt, God, BLTs, and one teen girl who wants to be a saint but keeps swearing her way out of it. And I'll be honest, fiction isn't usually what I'm reaching for, but I've always been intrigued by Marianne Leone, from seeing her on The Sopranos and other stuff she's been in. And man, she's acted for some of the biggest directors. And when this book came my way, I started reading and I just kept digging and digging, and I knew I wanted her on. So whether you're a reader or not, into fiction or not, stick with me, because this conversation casts a wide net. This one's about family, loss, laughter, and in this case, a young girl who's trying to find her way out of the neighborhood and into herself. We'll talk about humor as a lifeline, the art of grieving out loud, and writing as a form of rebellion, and why Marianne believes boldness is holiness. Stick around this conversation. It's a holy roller coaster. It's going to be good. All right, first, a couple quick hits. First, the clocks went back. Daylight savings time is over, at least for now. And if there's one good thing about technology making everything, quote, smart, is that you probably didn't have many clocks to physically turn back this weekend. Maybe the oven. You know, back in the day, it used to just be like the VCR. Well, back in the day, it was all the clocks, but now they all turn back for you. For us, it was the oven. Still, most Americans, they're over the time-changing madness. According to a recent poll, 54% of Americans would love to see the clock changing done away with for good. 40% want to keep it. According to reports, support for time changes is at its lowest level ever. In a poll 3 weeks ago, only 12% support the current clock-changing system. A few years ago, it seemed like the government was going to put a stop to it. We even remember we did that voting thing in California. And because there was bipartisan support from both sides, and how often do you get bipartisan support on anything? There are several bills kicking around in Congress, but like everything else, it's gridlocked, and there's very little push to get anything done. For what it's worth, most of the holdouts aren't clinging to the joy of changing clocks in the middle of the night twice a year. The issue is whether the permanent time would be the later summer hours or the earlier winter standard time hours. Also, you can't really have every state choose its own time, because that would just be a huge cluster, you know what. Generally, the public is divided. In the latest poll, 56% of Americans favor year-round daylight savings time, meaning we wouldn't have just fallen back last weekend, while 42% prefer standard time, meaning it would have never have changed. We wouldn't jump ahead, say, in March. Where do you stand on that? I'm down with keeping it in one spot. I just haven't decided what spot that is yet. And speaking of not decided, this other story, it's pretty silly. It's a What the Food segment, WTF. It is a tough economy, and a lot of workers are dealing with downsizing. So this post had some fun with it. A social media post went viral saying, General Mills, the food company, they hire you, and you have to decide which component to eliminate from Chex Mix. Which is the first to go? Now, there are 6 classic options of Chex Mix, right? You got the wheat Chex, the corn Chex, the square pretzel, the circle pretzel, that mini little breadstick thing, and then the rye chip, that little cracker. And it struck a nerve. This post got thousands of people weighing in. Some of the most popular comments: easy, the mini breadstick needs to go. Next question. One of the pretzels. You don't need two. A ton of people aren't feeling the rye chip. This person says they're gross. It looks like a diseased toenail. Yikes. I don't want to think about that. I like the rye chip. The rye chip, I feed that one to my dog. He doesn't even like them. So a lot of people aren't feeling the rye chip. I like the rye chip. I say get rid of one of the pretzels. I think get rid of the square pretzel. You don't need a square pretzel. Or maybe since the rye chip is round, you keep the square pretzel, lose the circle pretzel, but you got to keep the rye chip. And who knows, maybe this is the best response. Give us the OG recipe with Chex, pretzels, and peanuts. That'd be bad. That'd be badass. I like that. And then the idea of any new hires. I've seen some people throw in like Cheetos, Cheez-Its, maybe Cheez-Its in there. That's what I'm doing. I'm bringing the Cheez-It inside the Chex Mix. I don't know how you would fix the Chex Mix. You can let me know. I'm dying to get into this conversation. I'm excited to talk to Marianne. Before we do that, I want to thank my friends at Life Elements for being Up and Adam. Hidden in the back corner of a plaza in Atascadero, a woman practicing literal wellness alchemy. Love what Martha and Kurt are doing at Life Elements, where you can walk in, see Martha whipping up something in real time, and who knows, maybe even walk out with something that you didn't know you needed. Everything is small batch, cruelty-free, made with real healing in mind. It's no wonder why their Relief Stick is a bestseller across the country. In addition to their spot in A-Town, you can shop their products at the Hive in Arroyo Grande, the General Store, downtown Paso, and of course, lifeelements.com. While you're there, use the promo code ADAM. Save 15%. But I encourage you to check them out. Go to 7425 El Camino Real, Suite O. It's easy. It's that back right corner of the plaza. Can't miss it. Big ass sign. Use the promo code at lifeelements.com, but check them out in person. Meet them and let your wellness meet its maker.
It's Up and Adam with Adam Montiel.
All right, she is an award-winning actress, an acclaimed writer, mother, wife, and a woman who knows her way around both a camera and a pen. You remember her as Joanne Moltisanti from The Sopranos or from films by Scorsese, Nancy Savoca, John Sayles. But today, she's here not to talk screens, but stories. Marianne Leone's new novel, Christina the Astonishing, is wickedly funny, deeply human. About a coming-of-age tale about Catholicism, girlhood, immigrant mothers, and the messy miracle of growing up. This book hooked me, and I don't even read a ton of fiction. So trust me when I say she's got something to say. You're going to want to hear it. Super excited to welcome to the show, Marianne. You know, there's a scene early in Christina the Astonishing where like little Christina is basically doing like this confession cosplay with a flashlight under the chin and the sheet for a veil, practicing sainthood like it's her like only exit plan. And it's laugh out loud funny until it's not. Humor and heartbreak sit shoulder to shoulder in this novel. And as the writer, how did you decide when to let us laugh and when to have us flinch, Marianne?
You know, Adam, it's really weird. This is the way I write. I cannot not write like this. My first 3 books were memoirs. And the first book was a memoir about the loss of our son. At 17, he had severely disabled. He had cerebral palsy. And that book got a blurb from Dennis Leary that said, I laughed until I cried, and then I laughed again, and then I cried, and then I laughed. So I don't know. It must come with the way it must be my worldview that is, because, yeah.
It's so interesting because, my fiance I'll make a joke and I use my humor, maybe like you or like Dennis, where you use it to help you through things. And sometimes the joke might be a little bit like, babe, did you just, and it's like, wow, I'm sorry. You know what I mean? And you're right. That's, it's healing. It's cathartic. And sometimes it might not be received the best way all the time. Like, did you just
really? It's side by side, and it always has been. And one of the reasons I think The Sopranos was so successful is because of the humor that was interwoven into that series. I mean, it was humor that was just came out of nowhere too, like, so what, no fucking ziti now? I mean, that killed me, that line.
Right.
So I get it. I do get it. And I think I can my mother had that kind of mordant humor, you know what I mean? And I remember those moments like, my mother, when she died suddenly, like my son did. And she was laid out in a regular Italian funeral home with all the flowers and it's over the top. And my little niece runs in before all of us, plants a big kiss on her, and then turns to my sister and says, "Mom, she's like a popsicle." We lost it completely. Oh. I expected my mother to sit up in the car and crack up because she would have loved that.
Oh, man. So, and how old's your niece now? Does she know that story, like has grown up a little bit or what?
She just turned 30.
Oh, my gosh.
But, it's the kind of thing where it's true. Comedy and tragedy, there's a reason those two masks are attached.
Yeah. It's so good. This book is soaked in Catholicism, ritual, fear, guilt, grace, all of it, right? Yeah. And it's like its own character in the book. When did you realize that you weren't just writing about a girl growing up Catholic? You were almost exorcising something.
Yes. Well, I lost my own faith in real life when I was 15 because my dad died then. And it was, I just couldn't understand how this religion could condemn this guy who golfed every Sunday to burning in hell. Because on the other hand, we would find homeless old men in our rec room sometimes that he found and brought home and then rehomed. And it's like he was a good man. He was a generous, kind, good man. And because he golfed, he wasn't going to burn, And so that was the start because I adored him and I just wouldn't stand for the idea that he wouldn't. And that did it for me. That was but I mean, Christina, of course, it's different. It's later. I don't know if you read the whole book, but she writes that letter saying she's breaking the seal. And that's it. She's done. But it does shape you, and it certainly stays with you, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And I've played 5 nuns in my career. What is that? Who looks at me and thinks nun? I don't know. But
that's so
I have
funny.
played a lot of nuns. I find that bizarre. But
so Rita, Christina's mom, is fire and fury and absolute flavor, right? She's blunt, hilarious, and heartbreakingly practical. What was writing Rita a kind of love letter to the woman who raised us with knives in one hand and like love in the other in a way?
Absolutely. That is the one character that did not deviate from my own mother. I mean, that is exact because she was too colorful and rich to not put in that way. My mother was somebody who my friends still quote. She's been dead for a long time, So she was just very funny. Some of this, and she had that mordant, cynical Italian worldview that was very funny,
I'm so curious. Did you borrow anything verbatim from your mom? A line, a threat, a prayer, anything?
Totally. And I don't even know if I put it in there because I'm so confused about because I wrote a book about my mother too. But yes, there is a line when Christina says, "I want to be a nun," to her father. And her mother says to the father, she wants to wash the prismudandi, the underwear, for free for the rest of her life. My mother actually said that, and I actually said that I wanted to be a nun because I wanted the outfit. Actress, I wanted the outfit.
My gosh. Verbatim,
and I was hoping
love
it
that.
would make me look like Audrey Hepburn, but it did not shrink my nose at all to be in a habit, as I discovered to my sorrow.
Yeah, I have that same problem too. I love it. It's our character. Christina thinks that she's going to hell for eating a BLT on a Friday. Her mother thinks it's a sin to waste bacon. This book nails how really absurd and holy our childhood beliefs can be. What's something you believed as a kid that might still haunt you or charms you?
Well, I think I have learned about stealing. That scared me. The thing about you have to make retribution or else it's a sin on your soul. Mm-hmm. And when Babe tells her to steal the library book, she's like, I can't do that because what if they, take away my library card. It's like, I totally get that. I get that even today. The thing about stealing and lying. I really hate lying myself.
I always have a thing where if I have to cancel something or whatever, and I blame either me being not feeling good or maybe even blame like the dog. I had to take the dog to the vet. Like I worry something will happen to the dog or I will get sick. You know what I mean?
It would be
like
bad karma. Yeah, you'll bring it down on yourself. Yeah.
Do you think we ever really grow out of that child version of ourselves, or do we just learn to hide it better?
I also had a lot of the, folklore things that they had about the malocchio, the evil eye. I don't know if your culture had this, but the evil eye was huge.
The little blue thing?
I remember, Jesse was, the thing where you can cast the evil eye. Someone can cast that on you.
Right.
And they had this whole ritual to relieve the anti-malocchio, how you lift the curse from someone. I mean, I was as schooled in this as I was in Catholic lore. It was also in the weird folklore of, like my mother told me at midnight on Christmas so she wouldn't lose her own power and it involved olive oil and salt and water and using your left hand and saying a chant. So, I mean, there was as much going on with that as there was with the Catholicism too. So I came up in all of that, and all of it is a very rich environment that I'm grateful for, quite frankly. I felt like coming up as in this family of storytellers really prepared me for what I chose, to do.
It feels like you're known for these beautiful, but raw, beautiful memoirs. But this novel, whole new vibe, fiction, deeply personal, deeply voiced. What did fiction let you say or scream that maybe your memoirs couldn't?
Well, fiction let me go into the world of creating an avatar like Babe, who is someone I wish I had known as a kid, or, some of the experiences that I put in there of course did not happen to me as a person because it's fiction. And so, my brother is reading it now and he's hilarious. He's like, I'm taking notes. He was like, now, did this really happen? I'm like, Michael, it's completely an amalgam of none of it is one thing, including the younger brother. So
poor guy just reading it, sweating, just like, what's real, what's not, what do I need?
Yes, exactly.
Texting you, oh my gosh, so good. So like the original Christina the Astonishing, the book's namesake, 12th century saint, famous for doing wild, mystical things. Your Christina, still pretty astonishing, just in 1960s Boston. Right. You made and also, this. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go on. No,
I want to know what you were going to say. I was going to say what made this Christina worthy of the same name, but no, please.
Well, because Christina the Astonishing, of course, I know a lot about all the saints because I have many saint books, and I grew up hearing about them, and my mother had them all lined up in her bedroom. You know what I mean? It's like I actually cited that when my mom died, and we were like, okay, what saint should go on her holy card? And my sister pulls out St. Anthony because he's got a scrunchie with flowers, and she's like, he's decorated. It's got to be St. Anthony, So I had a lot of saints around, and that's what had me. But Christina the Astonishing was a world-class eccentric, and so is Christina. Boys walk up to her and tell her she's weird when she tries to talk to them. So she totally heart identifies with this medieval saint, who also breaks free, remember, levitates out of her coffin into the rafters of the church, and the priests are yelling at her to come down, and she refuses. So this is stuff that Christina totally relates to. And then, of course, the nun, her teacher says, no, you can't use her because she was never canonized, She's just the people loved her, but she's an uncanonized saint.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Your version of Boston, it feels kind of both claustrophobic and crackling. Like you can't wait to get out, but you don't want to miss a second while you're there,
It's true. It's really true.
How did you write a place that feels like a trap and also like a treasure chest and all in one,
I don't know. I hope so. I hope it does feel like a treasure chest because it was for for me, when I got to start, exploring in Harvard Square and taking the trolley and all of that stuff, it was, and, standing outside of Club 47 and wishing I could see Joan Baez or, Dylan. I mean, it was all happening then.
Yeah.
It was an exciting place to be.
Was there a part of it was there a part where you felt like if I don't leave here, I won't fully survive? I won't fully do whatever?
Yes.
I don't know. Yeah.
I knew I would not become who I was supposed to be and, give and, just be my full self, which was to perform in some way, to act and to write. And I did both always. Like, as a starving actor, it's like I kept getting typed out, like you're ethnic, you're too Italian to have commercials or anything like that. And so I got together with 3 friends and we started writing comedy and performing in the clubs, in New York, which was terrifying. Absolutely, soul-crushingly terrifying.
Yeah.
I never feared auditioning again after that. I mean, there is nothing like a Manhattan audience at midnight who've been drinking. And you've written sketch comedy, so you can't even break the fourth wall if they heckle you.
Yeah, right. Oh.
Yeah. So that was terrifying, but great because I never feared auditioning again. And I actually started getting more work because of that, because I wasn't afraid anymore. It's like, nah, New York audiences have already done the worst to me.
I've always loved stand up, right? And I've always revered it, studied it, admired it, but from afar, like I've never really tried it. In fact, at one time I brought up on stage Craig Shoemaker, and he's like, "Well, how long are you gonna do? 5-10 minutes?" I'm like, "No, dude, I'm a radio guy. Like you're this, and I feel fine behind the mic here, but like in that scenario." And then so I just interviewed Rob Edwards. He was out here for a writers conference, and he said that his time on stage taught him so much. Now, dude's like writing Disney, Avengers, but like the stand up, and he made me promise him that I would try 5 minutes sometime this year. And I'm just like, wow, like, but I can imagine, like what you said, that time on stage, you wouldn't trade it for anything.
No. And also remember, it was 2 girls and 2 guys in this comedy group. There were never any women there. I mean, there weren't as many women stand-ups. So we'd be out in the bar area waiting to go on. All these guys would come up to it. They weren't hitting on us. They were trying out their routines. It was really weird. It was just such a weird, Robin Williams came one night. He was really nice to us. He just walked up on stage and killed. Gilbert Gottfried walked up on stage and killed. And then we would see guys who completely bombed come back in. It was like looking at a car accident, it was like so bad.
Yeah.
So, but it was really a rich environment that I would say colored every part of colored writing, colored acting. And it was what I needed to do at that period.
Now you've acted opposite some heavyweights from Scorsese, The Sopranos, Jennifer Lawrence, but writing really puts you in the director's chair. What have your years as an actress taught you about the voice that shows up in the writing?
The thing I find about writing is so opens doors is you always have to come from the same place, which is truth. Because if you get self-conscious, it's not going to be good. Just like acting, if your attention is on yourself, it's going to suck. Same with writing. So you've got to know to put it on whatever you're working on, right? This taught me really a lot. It taught me about how to be an actor, how to be a better actor. And all of that. Now I forget your question.
Oh, no. No, this has been just a great conversation. You're so just easy to chat with, even when I fuck up your name in the beginning. Christina, constantly wrestling with what it means to be good, right? Especially as a girl, especially in a world built by men. When did you realize that being good might be the most dangerous goal a girl might have?
Oh, no, I went full bad once I got out of school. I really was like, you know what? I'm going to experience everything. No, it's a miracle I wasn't killed. Yeah. I mean, I hitchhiked to New York wearing a little Betsy Johnson mini dress, get into a car with 4 guys. No, I did stupid shit. Yeah. But it was all about breaking free, like breaking free of that stuff. I mean.
you've lived, and I did a TEDx on resilience, and it's like the things that happen to us or that we deal with, they shape us, and
right.
they truly shape us. And you've lived through, we touched on in the beginning, through some profound grief, and yet your writing never drowns in it. It lifts off. And I'm curious, like, what does your pain know about storytelling that maybe joy doesn't?
That's an interesting way to put it. I think that when I was writing, for example, about Jesse, I couldn't not write about joy because he brought us joy every single day, every day. This kid with so many challenges, I cannot tell you, this was our greatest teacher. Remember, we're in a business that makes you infantilized, narcissistic, all of those things. This did not happen because we had this great teacher in our life who said, this is what's important. This is it. And this is how I become myself. So it was, again, the same thing, you know.
Yeah.
But of course, I was already, like, when I was in school, I committed civil disobedience. I wrote broadsides. I did all that stuff. But when I had Jesse, I became a real warrior because I had to fight for him to go to school. So when I wrote the book about him, I couldn't not have the stuff in there about the joy he brought us and what gave us the impetus to go on, the impetus for me to buy a punching bag so I could deal with things and not kill people when I was trying to get him to go to school.
Yeah.
So that's my first book. Yeah.
And this book feels like it was written for maybe every kid who like never fit in, especially like the smart, the awkward, emotional girls. Who were like you really writing this for? And pardon my hiccup. Who were you really writing this for? And what would Christina say to the teenage girls reading her now?
I think she would tell them to be bold. I wrote a thing. It's interesting. I wrote this piece about for Cognoscenti here about the nuns on the bus. I don't know if you know about these women. These were nuns who actually went out and fought even their own church, which said, no, you should be out there talking about, and reproductive, shutting down, abortion and blah, blah, blah. And you're out there, dealing with feeding people and all. And they were like, we're doing this. And I wrote a piece saying at the end, when I was in school, I was constantly told, you are bold, Miss Leone, and not in a good way. You're bold. I said, and I want to say to you, sisters, you are bold in a great way, taking up for the marginalized. And that is what I learned, was to become bold.
I love that.
And even my rescue dog here that I'm staring at right now, little Titi, that she is part of my last memoir, 5-Dog Epiphany, when we adopted this dog during COVID because our 2 other rescues died. And Titi was kept in a cage for 6 years. The guy let the harness grow into her flesh. She was a fear biter as a result, and we adopted her. And she did draw blood from Chris the first day, but she then fell madly in love with him. And she is now the boldest girl you'll ever see. She's sitting on the top of the sofa right now, surveying everything in her purview. And I cannot tell you how happy it makes me to see how bold she's gotten. I guess discovering your own boldness is what I would talk to these teenagers about.
We both have a COVID rescue dog, and Harvey was rescued in Santa Maria, so he speaks Spanish, and he had a harness. He had like a poncho that was growing into his skin. It's almost a similar story. Almost a similar story.
So adorable.
Like literally a similar story, Marianne. Really quick, last question. Because I'm not going to ask your opinion on the finale of Sopranos, because if you had $1 for every time you got asked that. But what did you think about the way you started answering that question? Because you must have got asked about it a ton.
And what was the question again?
Well, everyone's asking about, because everyone talked about the finale of Sopranos. It was like this thing that we talked about. And I'm not even so much like caring what exactly your opinion was on it. I mean, we could, but I'm more interested like someone who had to answer that question from friends, from family, from fans of yours,
Oh, well, my own opinion was I loved it. Frankly, I like something that is not definite like that. I personally loved it. I did not feel offended that I didn't know exactly what happened afterwards. And I loved I loved that whole family. Edie blurbed my dog book for me because she brought her dog every day to work. And Jim was the kindest man. He was lovely. I cannot tell you. I've told this story before, but I will just tell you one story. After Jesse died, I was afraid that my television son would die, and then it happened. Okay. And so I was asked to fall on my knees in front of the coffin and let out a primal scream. And I'm sitting there and Edie is holding my hand. I'm getting, you have to go there. So I go there, I fall to my knees, and I wake up on the floor because I fainted. And I felt terrible. It's like I just was overcome. Yeah. And I fainted. And I felt terrible because they had to shut everything down. They had to stop everything. And the set doctor was there, like seeing if I was okay. And I just felt like, oh, shit, I've closed it all down, And Jim walks by, and to make me laugh, he says, anything for attention.
He's cut from your cloth.
I adored him for that. Yeah. I adored him for that.
He knew what you needed, didn't he? He knew exactly how to speak to you.
And that's how I'm ending this, on a comedic note.
Thank you so much for your time, Marianne. I appreciate you so much. We got links to the book and everything, Marianne Leone, in the show notes. But thank you for being Up and Adam, and thank you for your time. Truly means a lot.
Thank you, Adam. Had a great time.
Some say life's where it begins. Straight to the stars is where it ends. Only to start again.
Big thanks to Marianne Leone for joining us today. Love that insight on The Sopranos at the end. Damn. We both have the same kind of dog. We both got the same dog story. For her honesty, for her humor, giving us a character like Christina, who reminds us that growing up is never just a straight line. And sometimes holiness looks messy. Thanks so much, Marianne, for being here. To learn more about her, the book, the incredible foundation honoring her son, Jesse, you can check out the links in the show notes. Links to her website, the book, all of it. Check it out. All right, some weird weather this morning, kind of wet, foggy. Maybe a weird way to begin the week, but things are going to be mild, but then they'll heat up. Not crazy heat up, but they'll get sunny. Got some sunny skies, temps start in the upper 60s in San Luis Obispo this week. Come Thursday, we'll see low 70s, even mid 70s. Paso starting out in the mid 70s, cooling down a bit, and then coming right back up to upper 70s by week's end. Big week of shows. We got it all dialed in. Tomorrow, True Crime Tuesday. Wednesday, we'll talk to Megan Burkhart. She is the new publisher of Slow Life magazine. We're going to get a chance to meet her. Super excited for that. And then Thursday, the one and only Rob Rossi. It's inked in. We're ready to go. You do not want to miss this. This might even be a two-parter because it is so good. I wish I could just put a myriad, like a montage of questions, because we asked him everything. And he was just awesome to sit, have a drink with, and just listen to Rob Rossi. It's awesome. It's really, really cool. Also, the Margarita Ranch doing their big Christmas thing. We'll talk about that and more. So big week of shows. Thank you so much for connecting here. Thank you to our friends at Moonshiner Collective for original music on the show, Start Again. Speaking of them, saw a great article about them in Slow Life magazine, and the new one that's got Neil from Morro Bay Oyster Company. So check that out. Thanks to our friends Josh and Chiasa Clapper for giving us the Timbre Lobro Studios. Check out their wine. They're wonderful wine. You can taste in the village of Arroyo Grande. I love that leading vocals, Pinot Noir. They're sparkling anything. They're Albarino, they're Riesling. You like sweet sparkling, you like dry sparkling. They got it all. TIMBRE, TimbreWinery.com. And to you, thank you for connecting here, for also rating, reviewing, subscribing to the podcast wherever you listen to it. Means an absolute ton. Till tomorrow, I'm Adam Montiel. Have a great day. Have a great beginning to your week. And thank you for being Up and Adam.
Some say life's where it begins. Straight to the stars is where it ends. Only to start again. Let's start again. We'll start again. Let's start again.